The Villain's Barista by Cherame. Chapter 18. Summary. Let's take a break from Izuku's adventure. Here's Eraserhead POV. Shota doesn't know why the kid is always on his mind. Class 1A is supposed to be his only problem, but this boy is like a whole new level of problem child. From the constant appearances with villains, to where the kid would join in the fun. Most things happening would lead back to him. And the green-haired boy didn't even seem afraid to get caught. It's like the kid's job is to keep the villains in line. It's noticeable. Reaper, Stain, Dobby, and many more. If the heroes or the police spotted the boy with them, the next time the villains appear, the villains will seem a bit more tame. Reaper stopped killing people. Stain only kills those who really deserve death. Shota can't even say that without it sounding wrong in his brain. No one deserves death, no matter how wrong or bad of a person they are. But Shota is open-minded, alright? He isn't that naive, so he guesses what they do is fine. Maybe. Yeah, so that's the current case he's on. Find some information about the kid. He and Naomasa are the only people on the case, as they both don't want to imagine what would happen to the kid if the commission learned of him. Shota lists the major events in which the green-haired boy appeared, writing them down on the file. It started with the human trafficking last year. He's still pissed about that. He was informed that the heroes were attacking a villain's warehouse, but turns out the villains were the one who were destroying the heroes' illegal activity. If he had known, he wouldn't have been there in the first place. But that was the first appearance of the mysterious kid. Shota didn't see him doing anything, though, apart from just being there. Well, the boy was terrified, hiding behind the famous serial killer Reaper, like that's the safest option. And then a ranked villain, Overcast, used his quirk to block everyone's vision, causing hell to break loose and the villains to get away. And that's about it. The commission forced them to close that case, because if the news got out, only the villain's side would be at fault. But, as time goes on, the boy gets more and more confident. The next time he sees the kid, he's with vigilante-turned B-ranked villain, Dobby. That had surprised him at the time, as Dobby is known to be a bit of a loner. The fire villain was burning down some thugs, while the kid was writing something in his notebook when Shota chanced upon them. Shota thought that was the chance to catch them both, but he was once again surprised by the quick reflexes of the boy as he dodged his capture weapon. In the end, they escaped into the villain-friendly zone. And then there was that time they met when he was on patrol. Shota had cornered him, talked to the kid a bit, and he still escaped. Again. Good job, Eraserhead. You had one job, and you failed. What concerned him later was the fact that the purple swirling portal that the kid jumped into was the same one as the villain Kurogiri, used at the USJ. Knowing that the two knew each other should be the answer to the all-encompassing question. The kid is, in fact, a villain. But then the kid went beyond what Shota had assumed of him, again, and helped Shota escape from Nomu's crushing hand. He doesn't want to admit it, but if the kid hadn't intervened, he would be dead. Shota still couldn't believe that the boy even dared to bring him coffee as an apology after that. The next major event is probably the Hosu incident. Shota pinches the bridge of his nose when he recalls the security camera feed he watched with the detective. Not only did he help the hero killer escape, the kid also... The kid fucking slept on a couch while the League members watched the city burn. Well, that's surely a sign that they should bring the kid in, right? But that's the problem. They don't know the true intentions of the green-haired boy. Should the kid be treated as a criminal like his villain friends? But just being in association with villains isn't enough for the boy himself to be labeled as a villain. Association, yes, but not a villain himself. Shota and Naomasa always hesitate when it comes to younger people, and they always end up helping them all, in the end. What if the kid is a supervillain in disguise, collecting villains left and right to do his bidding? What if he's not, though? What if he's just there in the wrong place and wrong time? He's probably the same age as Shota's class. Shota sighs and rubs his temples. He should probably go out and get some more information, so they can decide what to do. Hopefully, he can do it without any more problems. Aizawa walks into the familiar pub. The building itself is shady as hell, but the people who reside there provide good information, so he always comes back regularly. He nods in greeting to the bouncer and walks in. The person he's meeting today probably already arrived. He spots the curly mint undercut among the crowd almost instantly and stalks up to the guy. The vigilante looks at him briefly before he leads Aizawa to their usual booth. 2 glasses of beer are served to them before the waitress lets them be. "So what do you want from me today, Eraserhead?" the man asks, leaning back against the booth's rugged seat. He sips his beer and waits patiently. Aizawa brings out a folder and slides it across the table. The guy doesn't hesitate to open it. Several pictures of a boy in a hero's hoodie and a mask greet him. "Do you know this kid?" the hero asks. "That's Bunny." Aizawa finally has a name. After so many times the kid has been seen, they finally have a name to call the leak's kid. "Tell me more about him." He pushes. The vigilante downs the rest of his drink and orders another glass of beer. He's a very famous analyst in the underground. And he only sells his analysis to villains. It seems logical, considering the fact that the green-haired kid is with the villains 24/7. Aizawa motions the guy to continue and crosses his arms. He doesn't work with anyone and doesn't join any group. Aizawa's brows furrow. "What about the League?" The vigilante waves his hand. "Nah, they pay him like the rest of the villains. No one has the privilege." A pause where the vigilante seems to think of something. "Well, maybe one." That gets his attention. At least they'll know who employs the kid. "Who?" The mint-haired man slams down the second empty glass on the table between them. A few of the pictures fluttering. "That's too many questions, Eraserhead." Aizawa scowls. "Just a couple more, and I'll stop trying to arrest you for a week." The vigilante huffs and answers reluctantly. "Mind heist." Mind heist? Oh, wow. Maybe they should leave this case as it is then. The only villain who Shota thinks should have been S-ranked instead of A-ranked is Mind Heist. How can any villain have a 100% escape rate? He'd even escaped from Shota himself. He hadn't even been able to use his quirk because Mind Heist had avoided his sight and disappeared within seconds. The Commission and even some heroes underestimate the villain, since Mind Heist never hurts them directly, but Shota knows different. And now the kid is working under said villain? He hopes the heroes are ready for them, if they decide to come out into the daylight. Now Masa shows Shota a picture of a kid at their next meeting. The boy is in a middle school uniform and smiling at the camera. And despite being scrawny, compared to the healthy, well-fed, and happy boy Shota is coming to know, in the picture, it is most definitely the kid Shota is investigating. This is Izuku Midoriya. Now Masa reads the file. He's quirkless and was reported missing by the Bakugos, a family friend, last year. Shota raises his eyebrows. So that's the All Might hoodie kid, right? Yeah. Shota hums. He can't help but think that Midoriya, or Bunny as he is now known, looks oddly familiar. He's pretty sure he's seen the kid before. Now Masa probably has the same thought, because he squints at the picture and rubs his chin thoughtfully. Hey. The detective starts, after a few moments of them both racking their brains. Yeah. Isn't this the same kid that went viral from the sports festival? Todoroki's friend. The kid who screamed into the arena. How can Shota forget? Hisashi wouldn't shut up about how amazing that stunt was. This is definitely him. The detective sighs. Shota rubs his eyes tiredly, and brings out his report from after his meeting with his informant vigilante. He goes by another name, too. He says, while putting down a recording device on the table. Really? Naomasa groans. Shota understands the man's feelings. This boy is just getting more and more complex, and that means more work for them both. Unfortunately, his alias is Bunny, a famous analyst in the underground. Naomasa runs a hand through his hair. Wow, this kid is something else. They go through the reports they've both been compiling. It's not much, but it's more than they had before. What Shota notices is that no one will spill anything about Bunny. Villains would rather go straight to jail when they get caught, instead of telling him about their analyst. Some even deny knowing the name altogether. And the commission is going to ignore him because he's quirkless, no matter how dangerous we think Bunny is. The detective concludes. It's happened too many times before. The HPSC, ignoring villains or vigilantes, who they think aren't dangerous. Shota hopes it comes back to bite them in the ass someday. After the press conference ends, Shota quickly excuses himself from the room. A cold breeze brushes against his face when he steps outside. The night should be considered peaceful, if not for the fact that there was a war happening right that minute in the middle of Kamino Ward. Even blocks away from the incident, Shota can hear the screams and sirens. Shota's not on the list of pro-heroes that had been there. He can't believe that other heroes think that his role as 1A's homeroom teacher is more important than the fact that he has a quirk that can erase others' quirks. Shota could at least weaken All for One, while All Might fights the guy. He leaps across the buildings and lands on the busy streets of Kamino proper. All around, people are gathering to watch the live fighting of the number one hero against a myth on a large screen plastered on the side of a skyscraper. Just as Shota is about to go and meet Tsukauchi at one of the cordoned-off areas, he sees a group of weirdly dressed teenagers. Weirdly dressed teenagers that he knows well. Shota sighs. He's disappointed, but not surprised. His class is full of reckless children who don't know what is right and wrong anymore. He wouldn't even be surprised if he gets gray hair soon. As Shota makes his way closer to the group, he is able to determine who exactly it is. Kirishima, Yoarashi, Yayorozu, and Ida. Wow. As if the stain incident isn't enough. If their class representative is like this, breaking the laws left and right, he wouldn't expect more from this hell class. He should have expelled them on the first day, so he doesn't have to worry about them like this. He sucks in a breath when he sees what's lying on the ground in the middle of the group. The unconscious Bakugo, with various injuries covering his entire body. Shota is speechless. Why'd the League of Villains do this? The whole point of kidnapping him wasn't for recruitment? Another important thought struck him. Where's Todoroki? He looks around and spots the distinctive red and white hair moving in the crowd. Oh, thank God. The kid probably sees the group now, as he's quickly walking towards them. But Shota's eyes become stuck on the person that is with Todoroki. Some might think that it's a stranger just going in the same direction, but the green eyes and oversized All Might hoodie says otherwise. The wig doesn't hide Midoriya's identity from the sharp eyes of pro-hero Eraserhead. Shota decides not to intervene yet, and moves back a good distance from his students. The other heroes arrive, and Shota notices Midoriya quietly walking backwards and melting into the crowd. He keeps his eyes on the kid until Midoriya arrives at a secluded alleyway far away from people. Shota curses when he notices the other figure that appears next to the boy's side. Midoriya is with Reaper again, and Shota knows he can't fight the serial killer alone. Deciding to save the fight for a different day, Shota goes to find Tsukauchi in the crowd. This time, Shota will make sure Naomasa asks some important questions to Todoroki. Maybe they can get something about Bunny from the kid. Alright, last question. Are you the UA traitor? The detective asks. Shota can only hope that Todoroki is not the traitor. The kid stopped answering the questions about Midoriya when he realized that he's bad at lying, but at least Todoroki answered truthfully about the summer camp and what happened after he got kidnapped. The stranger helped Todoroki get away from the League, then he stayed there in case the villains were still around. When Naomasa asked about said stranger, the kid went quiet, but Shota knows the truth, because he saw the kid with Midoriya with his own eyes. All the questions about Midoriya Izuku are left unanswered. Todoroki sighs in relief when he hears the question. No, I'm not. Everyone present let out a sigh of relief when Tsukauchi says, true, ignoring the questions the kid didn't answer. Todoroki is off the list of suspects of the possible traitor, but Shota will continue to keep an eye on him. For now. It should have been easy to cover up the injuries of Bakugo according to the rat principle, from getting out to the public. But no, Nezu underestimated the League once again. Pictures and videos spread across the internet at warp speed. Waves of disappointment and anger towards UA crashed against them once more. They just had a press conference days ago. Do they need another one? How can a prestigious high school let their students get hurt? The media has said. That's not all. An anonymous person sent a clip of middle school Bakugo to all the news stations. They didn't say or demand anything at all. They just sent the clip and disappeared. The clip is horrible, to say the least. It features Bakugo using his quirk on several people and the harsh words he said to them. The victims are blurred, thankfully, so the only thing that gets shown is the boy's unacceptable behavior. How can UA let a villain into the school? The questions get poured onto social media platforms and headlines, spreading like wildfire. Even the League of Villains doesn't want that boy. UA receives backlash from people all over Japan. Turns out, all the things that he said to defend Bakugo at the press conference were worthless. The kid really is bad. Shota's so fucking tired. Almost everyone wants them to expel the kid, but Shota knows how that would end. Bakugo would turn vigilante or villain. His drive to be the best wouldn't be stopped just by expelling him. It'd just be a little road bump. General education course and therapy it is. And if Bakugo gets better, then Nezu will re-enroll the boy back into the hero course. Bakugo himself hasn't recovered from his injuries yet. The boy is still unconscious, and the doctor is not sure when he'll wake up. His future is uncertain. Shota feels a little bit bad about that. Let fate decide his future. He isn't sure that fate will be on Bakugo's side this time. Shota should rest, really. But he also has the case of Bunny that he doesn't know what to do next with. Should he treat Midoriya like he's a villain in the League, or like a harmless kid that needs their help? Shota walks into the police station like it's his second home. He expects to see Naomasa sitting at his desk doing work like always. But when he steps inside the detective's private office, Naomasa is standing in front of his table, reading something with wide eyes. When the guy notices Shota, Naomasa beckons him over. "Looks like we got a gift, Shota." The detective chuckles humorlessly. Shota looks down to see 2 cups of coffee, one smelling suspiciously like his favorite, cinnamon cappuccino. There's also a note taped to one of the cups. "I heard you guys were looking for me, so here's a gift, I guess. No poison. P.S. I don't know what Mr. Tsukauchi likes, so just try my new almond coconut chai latte recipe. Bunny." Shota pinches the bridge of his nose. Wow, this kid is something else. Notes. I think this is one of my best drawings from this fic. Ref from Kiki Ishtar on DeviantArt. Aizawa's POV is supposed to be before Ray chapter, but I just can't fit it in, so here it is. A rest before we jump back into Hawks. This chapter happens before Hawks infiltrate, maybe around after Kamino. Detective and Eraserhead is on first-name basis, because why not? I've decided that Eraserhead would not meet Bunny because, plot. BTW, the mint-haired vigilante is from Chapter 12, lol. I didn't say anything about Bakugo's quirk, so I still keep my word about his open ending in Chapter 15. Guys, I could make a BKG Nomu, but it's too late. Why did I not think about this idea before? Facepalm. Next chapter. Of course we go back to Izuku and Hawks. Dabi is going to meet his mom. If you enjoyed this and you haven't listened to the rest of the chapters, in the description below there's a link to the playlist. This was in collaboration with the Podfickers Baton group. Each chapter was done by a different podficker in the community. After this, I'll be passing the baton to Cheese for chapter 19. There is a link in the description below to Cheese's channel, and if you have any suggestions on what else I should read, I'm down for that. Thank you for listening.